Hi everyone. I might make a start. Can you all hear me okay? Great, okay. So firstly, thanks for coming. One of those things, you look at the program and you see what other stuff is on and actually thought it'd be good to go to the panel, but I'm talking, so so thanks for coming. I mean, it's quite difficult. We've got some good people speaking. Anyway, right, I'll try and fly through this. I'm not sure how long it will take, so I might finish early. Hope you have time for questions. Right, okay, so this is what I'm here to talk about, the streamlining of multiple campaign website delivery from a single GovCMS SaaS instance. So obviously, when I proposed this talk, there wasn't any input validation on the web form for the title that limited the characters, so it's a bit of a mouthful. So really, I should have called it something like this, and then I thought again, and actually maybe this is snappier, many campaigns on one site. So effectively, that's what we're trying to achieve. So who am I? So I'm from the Department of Health. I've been there a long time. I've seen a lot of sites get built. I've built many of them over the years. I was a developer for a long time. And I'm currently the technical product owner of a project called the health.gov.au transformation project. So that's the federal health web presence. We have lots of sites. We have over 90 sites. We have over 50 hosted sites, some externally built, some externally hosted, vendor-built ones as well. And we're currently going through a piece of work to re-platform to GovCMS. So that will give you a little bit of context with respect to the campaigns. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. So how we used to deliver campaigns, and this will go back quite a way. This is 10 to 15 years, so I'll show you some examples, and they're some a little bit cringeworthy. I think quite a few of them are built in tables. The new way of doing it, and when I say the new way, that's as of the first half of 2017. So I had to revisit some of this to try and remember what we did then. We're doing things a little bit differently now. And then basically our vision for a departmental vision for a smarter consolidated future, so how we might do this in the future with our kind of much broader web presence. Okay, so how do we used to deliver them? So first of all, I'll give you a little bit of background on the anatomy of a campaign. So when I'm talking about a campaign, I'm not just talking about the website, okay? So there's all this other work that kind of happens before the website even is thought about. So first of all, our historical presence is not Drupal at all. So we're running a very old legacy platform, running on Domino and Lotus Notes. We've got, in fact, one of my former colleagues is in the room, so she's probably cringing right now, just remembering those days. And the website is part of a larger non-digital undertaking. So that project that starts is looking at, print publications. It's looking at, what goes through the doors, TV adverts, what's on the radio, and then there's always and we need a website as well. Fortunately, that's moving to be much more digital first now than it ever used to be, because obviously those channels are much more important than they used to be. And there's also really heavy vendor involvement, and that's really important because often they would provide a design and kind of hand it over the fence to us. And if there isn't a lot of conversation with that vendor or provision of a style guide or something like that, then obviously you can get something that you don't really like in terms of how you build it. And so, as I said before, it's often a digital last. So, we talk about the 11th hour. Many of these campaign websites were kind of 11:59, maybe 11:58. And each one is bespoke. So without that good governance and a good style guide, we end up getting lots of really variable products, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So these are some of the parts to a campaign. So before we even think about the website, there's the research, there's testing of content, testing of messaging, considering the demographic for the campaign, who's it targeted at. Then there's the actual provision of content, and this is before we even think about digital, before looking at the channels that content will be delivered through, and then the brand as well. And then quite often the website bit comes at the end. Okay, so what are the problems with a bespoke build? So this is the old way we used to do things. So in terms of the development part of that project, often we get an over-the-fence design given to us by a vendor, okay, and we look at it and we think, well, how are we going to build that? We've got lots of things in there that don't align with our other products. It causes a compliance headache. We think, well, how are we going to make that WCAG 2 compliant? How does that align with our standards that we have and all the government standards as well? It also means that we have to do a lot of new coding, new design work in a multi-developer environment as well. That might go to one team member and they may have to build some new patterns that then are going to be difficult to maintain later on. It also takes longer. And it costs more, okay? So it costs more as well because we've engaged, as a department, we've engaged a vendor, a creative agency to do that piece of work for us as well, that we would rather not do if we don't have to. Operationally, what does that mean? Okay, so it means that, we don't have an ecosystem of code or components. We don't get the benefits of sharing components. We get lots of duplication. Therefore, a fragmented code base. It then becomes quite hard to maintain. You get lots of variants, lots of things done very slightly differently and then recreated and reproduced. Also, in terms of supporting it later on, you get a lot of that corporate knowledge or certainly code-based knowledge that gets stuck in somebody's head if it's not well documented. A member of staff moves on, and then later on we need to make a change to a website, and we say, oh, yeah, Vicky built that one. Yeah, we don't know how she did it, so we have to relearn that code and have a look through again. And it also means from a UX perspective, we get a very disjointed web portfolio. So here's some examples of some very old ones. Swap It, Don't Stop It was, I think, about it was putting down, some food and doing some exercise. There was one about binge drinking. A lot of ones targeted at young people around alcohol consumption. You can see built very differently. That one at the bottom, that was probably 2004. It's still live, by the way. So. There's a quit line, so this is about, quit now, that's about quitting smoking, more about alcohol and about physical activity. And I could keep going through. This was just a representative sample. Okay, so in 2013, we undertook a project to try and build a more coherent product base and have a concept of a website portfolio. So I called this the reskin of 2013. So effectively what we did was we took a step in the right direction, okay, but it was really only a cosmetic effect. So what we did, we bootstrapped our websites, and to give you an idea of when we did it, it was bootstrap version 2.3.2. So I think we're up to 4 at the moment. Is there a 5? So as part of that, we built components and patterns and templates. So we had a kind of like a starter kit for a website. And we also set up a CDN for those core components so that we could have the benefits of caching and commonality. And I've got a little sketch that will describe that in a moment. And we also developed a website style guide that we could give to vendors if they were going to do some design work for us, or it was a tool that we could use ourselves to look at how we vary sites. So what we effectively got was a series of sites that looked like this. Okay, so they looked like they were from a portfolio of websites, they were a family, but as I said, it was still mainly cosmetic. So this is a really high fidelity sketch that gives you an idea of how we kind of built that. So on the bottom layer, we see the core. So that was the bootstrap and things like Font Awesome and Modernizer as well for feature detection. And then we kind of put a health layer on top of that. And that became our kind of core code base. That was ready, where we'd actually start. And then each time we built a site, we would put that kind of differential layer on top. So that might be some presentational stuff. It might be some functional stuff with JS. And so if I kind of pull out a little bit, on the left you'll see there's the core component. So this was delivered from a CDN. But then each site was effectively it was a clone, it was another site that was a clone of a previous templated site, and then we'd put those kind of, additions on top. And as I said, that was mostly cosmetic. It still meant that we had many clones. We had multiple databases, multiple code bases, we couldn't share content, and so they were still very much separated as entities. Okay, so what did I just speak about? So basically, a campaign website was digital last approach historically. It was expensive, fragmented, and then we did a reskin in 2013. Okay, so the new way. Okay, so our campaign presence is part of a larger transformation. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. So we work on the health.gov.au transformation project. So this is consolidating a really large, disparate website portfolio. So we have over 90 websites, okay, and they're governed in different ways. They have different code bases, many on different platforms as well. And so we made the decision to go with the all of government CMS, GovCMS, and at the time that was Drupal 7, and that was on SaaS. We didn't have Drupal expertise in the department, so we couldn't look at a PaaS option. We didn't want to have to, manage our own environment. So it was a very attractive option for us to be able to, acquire that service and then start building on that platform as well.